If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person, why would you want me as a partner? That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman? That's just bad. It's embarrassing, Say
that again?
If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person, why would you want me as a partner? That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman? That's just bad. It's embarrassing,
Shots fired. Max Kellerman decided to finally stand up for himself and trash Stephen A. Smith publicly. That part I can certainly get fired up for. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Max Kellerman trashing Stephen A. Smith for ruining his career at ESPN. Max Kellerman went onto an interview with Ben Simmons and effectively spent that time roasting Stephen A. Smith. To make a long story short, Max Kellerman essentially insulted Stephen A. Smith's knowledge regarding sports. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Was Max Kellerman reasonable to call out Stephen A. Smith's backstabbing ways? Absolutely. We all know that Stephen A. Smith is all for himself and himself only, and we saw that firsthand with how he treated Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman was talking about how he didn't really have a relationship with Stephen A. Smith outside of work, and although that certainly is fine, it is a little bit strange that two men don't really have any type of friendship outside of when they're working on a sports show. Typically, when you think about guys talking about sports, what do you think about? You think about how you have conversations with your friends every single day about a sports topic. I know that's what I would do. I talk with a group of friends every single day about sports, particularly football and basketball. But even if you're not a football or basketball fan, you could certainly talk about soccer every day. You could talk about baseball every day. You could talk about boxing every day. By the way, Max Kellerman is a boxing analyst as well. And we all know that Max Kellerman is a true sports fan. Although I felt like Max Kellerman dipped his toes in the woke fungus from time to time, I generally did not mind Max Kellerman on First Take at all. I know that sometimes he gave out horrible takes, but they were usually at least backed up by good reasoning. At least Max Kellerman looked like he put effort onto that show in order to try to entertain people. Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, does not have deep thoughts whatsoever, which is really not that surprising, because if you've been watching a lot of First Take, or if you just look at Twitter clips regarding First Take, well then you would know that Stephen A. Smith doesn't really know all that much about sports. All Stephen A. Smith knows is to go with the everyday common man take and scream it as loud as possible in a theatrical manner. That's what Stephen A. Smith's role is at ESPN. Max Kellerman also addressed this during the interview with Bill Simmons as well. Again, that's a Captain Obvious take. Anyone that has followed Stephen A. Smith for a number of years would have known that is exactly what Stephen A. Smith's role is at ESPN. The reason why I call him Stephen A. Smith is because we all know that Stephen A. Smith is willing to tell lies in order to promote his own career, and he is willing to do whatever it takes to advance his own agenda at all times. That's a big reason why I don't really like Stephen A. Smith. I don't think you guys should be supporting Stephen A. Smith either. I understand some people love Stephen A. Smith, politically speaking. I'm not really one to believe in Stephen A. Smith's politics, not because what he's saying is wrong, but because I feel like he is saying wherever the wind is blowing. A lot of people are leaning towards the Republican side. Therefore, Stephen A. Smith is going to yell in favor of the Republicans. But let's keep it real. If Stephen A. Smith saw that there was a majority Democrat crew out there, he would be yelling for all Democrats and stand for their takes. I don't really believe Stephen A. Smith stands for much of anything in general. Hence, that's why I call him Stephen A. Smith. And Max Kellerman called out Stephen A. Smith for that. Max Kellerman essentially said during that clip I showed you guys in the introduction that he is smarter than Stephen A. Smith about sports, and I believe it. Even though Max Kellerman was sometimes wrong with his sports takes, like I said, Max Kellerman usually had good reasoning to back up his arguments. Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, did not have good arguments to feed off of. I also want to show you guys this clip of Max Kellerman talking about how First Take operated from a day-to-day basis and how they operated their show with hot takes. Max Kellerman essentially trashed hot take culture. I agree with everything Max Kellerman had to say. Roll the film.
Stephen A. has no hot takes. Stephen A. almost never, I can't think of any counterintuitive conclusions that he ever reaches. That's not his job on the air. His job is to be the big reactor to a counterintuitive conclusion. reactor. Just he's there to hear the crazy conclusion that his partner has come to and actually be the everyman with a loud voice. Like, you are crazy, right? And do it theatrically. So there's a lot of pressure on his partner to come up with a counterintuitive conclusion about everything.
Keep spitting the truth, Max Kellerman. Although everyone already knew that at the time, that was certainly the case with what was going on with First Take back then and currently right now. And part of the reason why a lot of people don't enjoy First Take right now is because there isn't really a lot of nuance onto these sports shows. It's a big reason why I don't really follow First Take as much as I used to. I remember as a kid, I used to religiously follow First Take all the time. But nowadays, I don't get that sense, even though I actually have more freedom in the morning, because I don't believe in First Take being a great sports show. I don't find First Take to be particularly interesting. Whenever I watch First Take, it's just Stephen A. Smith and a bunch of black dudes that try to cape up to Stephen A. Smith every day, and it's not really enjoyable seeing a bunch of black dudes kiss ass to Stephen A. Smith every single day while Stephen A. Smith yells at the camera. It's not really any fun to listen to whatsoever, and I don't feel like I'm learning anything about sports. Is it fun at times for Stephen A. Smith to do what he does? Absolutely, but I believe there's a time and place for everything, and Max Kellerman provided that balance. And for Stephen A. Smith to essentially push Max Kellerman out of television, I didn't really appreciate a whole lot of that. I understand why Stephen A. Smith had to do that. He had to do that so that way he could take over the show on his own, and when he took over the show on his own, he could essentially negotiate against ESPN that, hey, I should be getting $20 million a year, and guess what? The negotiation tactic worked to its finest, so I'll give Stephen A. Smith credit for that, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Max Kellerman made First Take a better quality show. I like listening to Max Kellerman on First Take in general, and I thought Max Kellerman should have deserved another shot on another sports show somewhere on these main sports networks, because I thought Max Kellerman was generally entertaining. I'm not going to say Max Kellerman was my favorite sports talker growing up, because that would certainly be a lie, but there are definitely worse guys than Max Kellerman to listen to. Max Kellerman certainly seemed like a real sports fan, and as a sports fan who listens to sports talk shows, I can certainly relate to that. That's why a lot of people respected Max Kellerman, and for Max Kellerman to finally respond back, good to Max Kellerman for doing so. I hope Max Kellerman keeps piling on Stephen A. Smith. He certainly deserves it. Stephen A. Smith is an absolute clown. Quite frankly, Max Kellerman will always be smarter than Stephen A. Smith at sports. That's just the simple truth. Whether or not you want to admit it, Max Kellerman was more of a legendary ball knower in comparison to Stephen A. Smith. All Stephen A. Smith knew how to do was to get out a teleprompter and scream those lines real loudly for 2 hours. I don't really find that to be overly impressive. I do find Stephen A. Smith's career to be impressive in the sense that he has been able to grift off at ESPN for a number of years while being one of the most overpaid sports talkers. As for Max Kellerman, though, good for Max Kellerman for speaking out the truth. The only thing I'm going to get on Max Kellerman is, what took you so long to trash Stephen A. Smith? You should have done it years ago. But you know what? Max Kellerman finally stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to go ahead and knock out Stephen A. Smith with those lies I'm about to provide in front of an interview for everyone else to hear. I really appreciate it. So that is why Max Kellerman was reasonable for calling out Stephen A. Smith's backstabbing ways, as Stephen A. Smith represents a lot of what is currently wrong in the modern sports media world. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinNasTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNasTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNasTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.